You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive video coverage of the NGMN industry event from Frankfurt. And joining me now is Mats Svard, who is VP Group Networks and IT Infrastructure with TeliaSonera. Mats, thanks for joining us on TelecomTV today. What is TeliaSonera's role in the 5G process?
Yeah, we're part of the NGMN. And NGMN as a body, as you know, are putting together the requirements. So we as operators came together and we said, okay, listen, now everybody is talking about 5G. Let's get alignment in the industry so we get a system put in place in the future that will actually work across different parts of the world and across different type of vendors. And we have participated actively in the NGMN work. Developing the requirements for this standard we see in the future. Then.
There are many variations of what 5G could and should be. What does TeliaSonera believe 5G will deliver?
I think 5G is going to happen gradually. So I think we currently have 4G. As you know, I mean, we launched it in Sweden as the first operator in the world 5 years ago. We will get 4.5G, we will get other additions, and eventually we get to a point where the technology that 4G is based on will not be sufficient. And I think what's particularly maybe challenging would be latency. So if you want to communicate between things, cars and what have you, you need really, really low latency in order for it to be safe systems and safe control. And so on. Speeds will come in. I think in general, actually, the biggest step forward is it's the traditional things around capacity, speed, latency, and the most important part is the support of Internet of Things. Because in the future, everything will communicate with everything, basically.
How does an operator deal with having to create a new network that has to cover a wide range of use cases, from massive deployments of M2M and IoT to high bandwidth, low latency applications?
It is a challenge for the industry and for us operators as well, but it's an interesting challenge. I quite often say that it's been a real privilege being in the telecom industry for the 20 years I've been in, because there's always something exciting around the corner. And this, I think, is probably the most exciting journey ever. And not so much because of the 5G radio interface, but more because of the virtualization of the network. So for 5G, we need to have a virtualized network. And that means that it's decoupled, cloud-based. So we decouple different parts from each other. We can increase efficiency, we can increase speed of provisioning, speed of service delivery, and we will be able in the future, of course, to look at everything as sensors if you want to. So we have a cloud in the middle, which is the core network, and there are sensors via which we can send and receive traffic or get information about temperature or getting information about whatever you have. So it's a massive transition from a very traditional structure of infrastructure, well-defined layers and what have you, into something that looks more like the internet world, I'd say.
So are you deploying NFV now in your LTE networks?
We are, yes, we are. So we are implementing we have LTE for the last 5 years, if that's your question, as I mentioned, right? And we are implementing IMS and VoLTE and services on top of that. We're also doing the virtualization of the network infrastructure. So we have our own telco cloud on which we start to virtualize the network functions. And one of the first will be the one I just mentioned, IMS for VoLTE will be fully virtualized across our markets.
Will the low latency requirement of 5G mean that a lot of computing power moves away from central locations towards the edge of the network, closer to actual users?
Yeah, I think you're right, absolutely. You need to move the control plane closer to the end user. You need to move it out in the network. But I think that's fine. I mean, If you think about the way we do virtualization to start with, we do it similar to the way it was done on the IT side. So we consolidate data centers, virtualize it, run everything as software. And that's also how we start in TeliaSonera with the telco cloud and the virtualization. But actually, the beauty of a virtualized environment is that it doesn't matter where the computing power sits, because it's all part of the same. And of course, to meet requirements on latency, we need to move that out closer to the customers. Yeah.
How will 5G affect society as a whole?
I think 5G will mean an enablement, advanced enablement of Internet of Things. So Internet of Things has already started to happen, and is becoming sort of even more enabled in 4.5G, because you can have really long battery lifetimes of 10 years or 15 years, which opens up a world of opportunity. And I think 5G is really just the next step of the enablement of everything being connected, if you want to. I think we can't really foresee exactly what it will mean for different parts of the society and companies and what have you, but I'm sure it will have a fundamental impact.
Will 5G mean that a lot of the alternative networks, low power networks that are currently supporting IoT deployments will go away and that everything will be covered by 5G?
No, I don't think so. I think what we see as a trend now in the industry is that we see more and more usage of what we call unlicensed bands. So bands that doesn't require a license and where you run different type of technologies like Wi-Fi and what have you. And I think that will probably continue to be the case. I think we will have a combination of different type of networks also in the future. And I think 5G will be the standardized infrastructure sitting, if you want to, as a backbone or a common denominator across countries and markets and vendors.
Mats Svard, thank you very much.
Thank you.